Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Seth Joyner Show. Happy Tuesday, everybody. Smile and be happy. I see you. Jersey Dolphins, I see you. What an awesome day. I think some of you guys may be wondering what's going on in the background, whether I'm camping or what's going on. I am in Springfield, Missouri. I'm attending the World Serve event. Got an opportunity to play Paynes Valley today. What an awesome venue. Got a special guest for you guys today. We're going to break down what's happening with the Eagles. And I got a special surprise guest that may stop in a little later on. But you guys know him, the better half of the broadcasting duo on WIP for the Philadelphia Eagles. My ex-teammate, my great friend, the best wide receiver, one of the best wide receivers to ever play in the history of the Philadelphia Eagles franchise. One Michael Quick Six. How you doing?
What's happening, man? How you doing, Hammer?
Everything's good, man. Everything's good. You see the fish on the wall back there, man. I'm in your kind of place, man. I'm in the country.
But I'm wondering, are you fishing or are you playing?
I'm golfing, man. I ain't come all the way here to fish.
I didn't think so.
No, I didn't come all the way here to fish, but I tell you, this place is awesome, man. It is awesome.
So how did it go today on the golf course?
It went pretty good today. We had like a 2-man scramble today, me and my partner, we shot even par, which is respectable, and we had a good time. It was a great experience getting out there to see the golf course. We saw it on TV, but I don't know if you've been here, but it's awesome, man. And that 19th hole is something to behold. What they're building here is phenomenal, man.
Gotcha.
Absolutely phenomenal. We got to take a little trip here, but let's jump into some Eagles talk, man. Give me your draft thoughts. What your draft thoughts? What do you think, man? I think
Seth, I thought they did a really nice job in the draft. Quite honestly, some areas that we all thought that they needed help. You know that the offensive line is an aging offensive line, and they addressed that position. Certainly the wide receiver position they addressed with a guy that I think is just going to be a phenomenal pro. And I understand the knock on him. And I think you look at any player, and there are going to be some negatives to any player that comes out, even the second round pick. But I was just happy to see, first of all, they got 2 Alabama players. We don't have Alabama. It's been a long time since we drafted a player out of Alabama. And year in, year out, they've got some of the best talent in all of college football. But this year, we got 2 great players out of Alabama. And I do believe both these guys are going to be outstanding pros in the NFL. They, in the latter round, and then after that, they addressed the defensive front. What's the kid? Williams kid?
Yeah, Milton Williams.
Milton Williams, they drafted him 3rd round, and another one that there's a knock. Okay, he's undersized, but he's athletic. So many people think that it was analytics pick because of how well he did in the combines. But if you look back at his production at Louisiana Tech, the guy was an excellent football player. No matter where they're drafted, no matter who they are, there are some things that you'll be able to point at to say, okay, but this. To me, I think the guy's a good football player. And then they went on to draft a cornerback. Latter rounds, they got a couple of linebackers. So I think they really looked at and tried to address some of the areas where they really need help. So all in all, I thought it was a really good draft. I think the first 3 players, at least, we'll see them play in this season. I think all 3 of those guys will see some, and especially when you look at the offensive line and the problems that they've had staying healthy. And Devonta Smith, the first-round draft pick, he's going to play because he's just that good.
Right.
And they talk about, oh, he's small. Yeah, he is small. But when you watch Alabama play, and he's putting up all of these numbers, did he look small? He didn't. He never looked small to me. He just looked like a baller. He's 6 feet tall. He's 170 pounds, maybe, when he's got all of his pads on. But when I went over on Saturday and I met him face to face for the first time, he didn't look that small to me.
Right.
But skill wise, none of these guys that came out were better skilled. Even the year before, when I was looking at the Alabama wide receivers, he stood out then.
Right.
Stayed in for another year and, won the Heisman Trophy. So I just, you never really know until you get a chance to see these guys. But right now, I feel like the Eagles did a really nice job of addressing the areas that they really needed to address.
Listen, for once, I'm excited about, what they did in the draft. I think they stuck to a plan. They had a decent plan. Howie didn't go off and go rogue and, make a pick or, on his own.
Yeah.
I think they took the best available players at those slots because I feel like they had to, all the heat that was going on. I agree with you on Devonta Smith, man. I just feel like everyone's making a big deal about his size. Let's be honest. The NFL that you and I played in, that NFL is gone. We'll never see that NFL anymore.
Right.
So we're not going to have to worry about him getting beat up. First of all, they got to get their hands on him. And he's so skilled. When you watch him in his route running, the way he sets his routes up, his ability to track the football, his ability to catch everything that's thrown his way.
Yeah.
The route tree that you can run him on because of, his overall skill set. What are you complaining about? This is the type of football player in Philadelphia we've been asking Howard to draft for the last 10 years. And now we get him and everybody wants to make a big deal about his size. I think this kid is going to be a superstar, Mike. And I also think that he's going to change the dynamic in the wide receiver room because what he brings with him is a skill set that's already there.
Right.
What he brings with him is refinement that doesn't have to be taught by the wide receiver coach.
That's right.
These young wide receivers are going to learn a lot from him because of what he brings with him, from Alabama. You talk about those kids from Alabama. If that's the best program in the country, why aren't we drafting out of the best program in the country more often? Everybody wants to talk about the Dickerson kid and the injuries. If we can get past the injuries, we got the best center in the draft.
No question.
There's no doubt about it. And he can't play guard. So I give you this scenario. Okay, if Brandon Brooks come back 100% healthy, and Lane Johnson comes back 100% healthy, and Jason Kelsey is back 100% healthy, which he has been. Okay, now I know that Sayamalo is locked in over there at left guard, but you know what I love to see? I'd love to see Sayamalo locked up in a competition for that job with Landon Dickerson. Okay, create the competition so you get the best. Okay, now. We know that the Eagles drafted Andre Dillard in the first round 2 years ago. They want him to start. But the most intriguing competition is going to be Jordan Mailata against Andre Dillard. And Andre Dillard hasn't proven anything yet. Jordan Mailata has proven that he can hold it down over there. But now you're caught in a quandary. First round draft pick, fourth year, seventh round draft pick. A guy that, there's been a project that project has come to fruition. What are they going to do?
I tell you what, it's interesting that you say that because I was thinking the other day after I left the practice and meeting all the rookie class, I was thinking about what I want to focus on in training camp because I always do. And, I'll spend some time watching the wide receivers, but I want to watch the offensive line. Because of the things that you just mentioned, the competition at left tackle that I think that is going to go on there, the competition at those three inside spots, because Nick Sirianni keeps preaching that he wants competition at every position. So now, if you're preaching competition and you're going to allow these guys to compete, the guys are going to know who the best players are in these positions. So then you're going to have to show up and the guys that win those spots, they're going to have to be the guys that play. He's preaching competition, and I love the fact that he's doing that because it just makes everybody better. knowing that in the room you got a Devonta Smith, you got a Jalen Reagor, you got a Quez Watkins, you got a John Hightower, you got all of these receivers, and all of them have all of this talent. The O-line. So I like training camp for that. I love the competition, and if he's going to really allow the competition to determine who the starters will be, I love that. Even at quarterback, they haven't named who the starting quarterback. Hey, that's crazy, I know. but that's the reason why he continues to say it's competition, and I love it, and I want to see it, and I want to see it materialize.
Quick listen, I'm all for competition. I don't think the quarterback position should ever be excluded,
Correct.
from competition, because that competition is what really brings out the best in everybody, so that as an organization you get the best players on the field at all times. Okay, but I'll shut down this show and I'll quit doing this show if Joe Flacco beat out Jalen Hurts for the starting job. Come on, man.
No,
Come on.
not going to happen.
Yeah, Joe Flacco was almost done once he left when he left Baltimore now. That's been what, 2-3 years ago?
So I like Joe. And I think I think he will be really good for Hurts. And I think the two of them will work well together. He can teach him a lot. Even Seth, this young coaching staff, having a guy like Joe Flacco, I think it's going to help this young coaching staff to get to where they need to go at this level to be effective coaches in the National Football League in positions, though they've been in the National Football League, many of them in positions that they have roles that they haven't had to this point.
So let's go through some more of these some more of these draft picks. Zach McPherson, cornerback out of Texas Tech.
Yeah.
I like what I see in him on the field. As well as I do, because you spent, a career roasting them.
Yeah.
Cornerback's got to be confident, and he's got to have a short memory. Got to let stuff go. When I watch him on film, he oozes confidence.
Yes.
And I love that. I love that in him. We need competition at that other cornerback position and the slot position. I think he brings it. So it's going to be very, very, very interesting to see, how all that works out.
In a conference, Seth, where you see a lot of passing, Texas Tech, and he played a lot of press coverage. He's not afraid to get up and get in your face, gets his hands on you. He's 5'11", maybe 190 pounds, maybe a little bit better than that. Really good feet, really good hips. I love the fact that you're going to have him competing on the other side of Darius Slay for somebody to take that spot, and someone will emerge as a starter over there, and it could be this rookie.
Right. Okay, let's look at Kenneth Gainwell. What a name for
It's a great name. That's a great name.
When I saw the draft pick, it kind of made me scratch my head, because this was after they had re-signed Jordan Howard.
Yeah.
Then I think it was 2 weeks or a week after the draft, they just picked up Kerryon Johnson last week. What are the Eagles doing at running back? I mean, they're like loaded. You've got, Miles Sanders and Boston Scott and Jordan Howard and, Gainwell and Kerryon Johnson. That's not to mention the 3 or 4 other futures guys that we don't even really talk about that they have in the stable. Is this a part of that competition thing that Nick Sirianni is actually talking about? Because we're starting to see it materialize, and manifest itself not only at a position like wide receiver, where they've got 8 or 9 wide receivers, but you see it at the running back position. You see it at the cornerback position. Some of the other free agents, that I haven't even gotten to, to be able to talk about, that the Eagles have actually brought on board. Or they're just loading up with guys so that they can get the best out of the competitions?
I think so, and I think Gainwell fits a lot of what they like to do. He's a guy that not only out of the backfield, but a good receiver. And I know that Sirianni likes running backs who can catch the football. You know, if you look at the guys that he had in Indianapolis, they're guys who can, out of the backfield, catch the football, good receivers. I'm trying to think of the kid's name. They got a kid out of NC State.
Grimes.
No. The kid out of NC State that plays at Indianapolis.
Number 25. Is it Himes?
Nyheim Hines.
Nyheim Hines.
Yeah, that's the type of guy that they're going to get with Gainwell. A guy who can not only run out of the backfield, a guy that you can put out and try and isolate him on halfbacks or defensive safeties or linebackers and allow this guy to beat them, because he's the kind of guy that's run routes at all levels in the secondary, if you watched him.
Mm-hmm.
I just think it's these guys that have multiple skill sets and can do a variety of things that they're looking for. Jordan Howard, I think you want to have at least one thumper, and if they're going to keep a thumper, it'll be a guy like that. But I just think he's a long shot to hang on this roster this season.
Well, I mean, who's going to be their power back? I mean, when you look at Miles Sanders, I think that they've defined through analytics.
No, he's not a power guy.
Well, but that's my point. You know, he's going to be a 16 to 20 touches max per game, and you're going to have games where you only give him 12 to 14 touches.
Right.
You know, I think the analytics have pretty much said that, you know, that's the number. So you got to have at least one guy, you know, to run your 4-minute offense through. When I look at Gainwell, what he allows them to do is he allows so much versatility. If Miles Sanders is out of the game on first and second down and you want to throw the ball, I mean, and teams want to play nickel or they want to play regular people because you go 12 personnel, you take this guy and motion him out of the backfield. Now you force that linebacker to have to go with him. You know, you identify man coverage and you split X down, put him in X nasty, and motion that back out of the backfield and line him up wide. Now, if it's man, you got a problem on the linebackers.
Yeah.
If it's zone, the cornerback's going to bump out, and you got the wide receiver matched up on the linebacker inside, you know, in his zone. So there's so much that you can actually do with this guy. But I'm just looking at how many bodies they have there, trying to figure out, trying to decipher who stays, who goes, and things of that nature.
That's the fun part of training camp. Can't wait for that. Yeah, I can't wait for that stuff. You know, after after the first preseason game and you start to really look at who the possibilities are for staying and going, that to me is like one of the most intriguing parts of the season, the entire season, is when you're trying to figure out who stays, who goes, and how they all fit, how all the pieces fit to the puzzle.
Right. Okay, so I want to run through the rest of these draft picks and then we'll bring in a special guest. Marlon Tuipulotu, this kid out of USC, 6'3", 305. I watched the film on it quick. I like it. Like him a lot. He flashes all over the place. He's always, you know, in the backfield. He's making plays in the backfield. Not a premier pass rusher, but what he does is he moves the pocket. And the one word that I had for him is active. Dude is active. This Taron Jackson kid, I'm kind of, you know, miffed. He's listed as a defensive end, but he's 6'2", 254.
Right.
The production was there in college, but I'm not so sure that you can line this guy up. Maybe he's a rotational guy. Maybe he's a guy that you develop, you know, in the future. I just, you know, when I look at him and if they're truly using him as a defensive end, I'm wondering how much production you can get out of him. Hopefully, you know, you're looking at him as a 6th-round pick and you're saying to yourself, hey, you know, maybe this guy could be a diamond in the rough down the road. So
maybe he's a guy that you're going to develop, but, you know, when this week it pops up that you signed Ryan Kerrigan, you know, one of the rivals, you go down to Washington and you pick up Ryan Kerrigan, sign him for a couple $1 million, and he knows that he's on the tail end of his career, but he's a guy that's been really disruptive in his career and a guy that gave Lane Johnson fits for a long time. And now to have Ryan Kerrigan and all these other defensive ends, you know, Brandon Graham and all of these guys that you have lined up on DN now, and you add a Ryan Kerrigan, where does Jackson fit? Where will he fit? unless you're bringing him in to try and develop another player.
Well, hey, listen, the one thing that the Eagles lacked at the defensive end position in the last couple of years has been depth because of injury.
Yeah, sure.
So you err on the side of having too many, and then you always have to ask yourself, yeah, you got Ryan Kerrigan, but you got Ryan Kerrigan in year 10.
Right.
You got Ryan Kerrigan that's on his way out of Washington. You looked at him last year, and the defensive coordinator, Jack Del Rio, said, hey, we know that this is a guy that's not going to play every down. We're not expecting him to play. Well, maybe not, because you got 2 first-round draft picks, lining up outside, and you want those guys to play. But
That's
you have to ask yourself at the end of the day, too, how much does Ryan Kerrigan really have left in the tank? And which Ryan Kerrigan are we getting?
Right.
So, Taron Jackson becomes a luxury now that you have a Ryan Kerrigan. If you can sneak him on the practice squad, whatever it is, go back old time, like, back in our day, put him on injured reserve, to kind of hide him, whatever it is you got to do if you see something that you really like him.
Yeah, that last week of training camp, you have this back injury that no one ever knew about, and all of a sudden, I got a back problem, and they got to keep you around on the roster. Yeah, right, that sort of thing.
Now, this next guy, got 2 more here. This next guy, the Eagles drafted him out of LSU. They drafted him as a linebacker, Jacoby Stevens.
Jacoby Stevens, yeah.
Okay. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. Besides number 1, this is the guy I'm most excited about. As a 6th-round pick, yes. Huh. I'm telling you right now.
Okay.
Go turn on some film.
I'm marking it down.
And watch it.
Listen, I'm writing it down.
Write it down. Because I'm telling you right now, he's going to cause some problems, for some veterans on this team. Because when you watch him play, he hits everything that moves.
Right.
They drafted him as a linebacker. But when you watch him on film, he lines up in the hole. He lines up in halves coverage. He drops down in the box. I mean, this guy does all the things that one Malcolm Jenkins used to provide for the Eagles on defense. So he brings them a lot of versatility, but he's just nasty. He's a tone setter. Yeah. And I'm just excited to see this guy. I hope they don't play him at linebacker. I'm telling you right now, I hope they don't play him at linebacker. I think we need to find out what some of these young guys can do. You traded for a guy from Minnesota that we'll talk about later on. I hope they play him at safety, because at 212 pounds, 6'1", 212 pounds, there's a lot of versatility there. Right. But when I watch him play, when I watch him on film, man, this guy beyond Devonta Smith, he excites me more than anybody else in this draft.
So you know how they started to use a honey badger and out in Arizona, and they started to do same thing you mentioned with Malcolm, where Malcolm's really a linebacker.
Jamal Adams.
Yeah, just like that. Just moving him around and that utility guy that's real disruptive, that can play multiple positions. Yeah, I got that. I see that.
I'm excited about him. And then the last guy, Patrick Johnson out of Tulane, 6'2", 240. He lines up more like an edge. Yeah, but he lines up as an edge rusher. I mean, when you watch his game film, they'll line him up as an edge rusher, and he'll drop in coverage. Now, that's the one dynamic that he brings to the table that some of these other defensive ends don't have. What they tried to do with Jannard Avery the last couple of years.
Right.
They tried to line him up, and bring a blitz from the other side and drop him off in zone coverages and things like that. He provides that kind of versatility. But the question is, can he play off the ball? Can he play the actual linebacker position? Because if not, you got Ryan Kerrigan that you just signed. You got Taron Jackson that you drafted in the 6th round. And you got this guy in the 7th round, along with all the other guys, Brandon Graham, Derek Barnett, Josh Sweat. I mean, even, if you go all the way back to, Milton Williams, the way he's built, he looks to me more like a classic 4-3 defensive end than he does a defensive tackle.
Right.
So I tell you, man, I was a little down in the doldrums, before the draft started. But I give I give Howie and Jeffrey and the organization a lot of credit for what they were able to do, because they addressed some needs, and I don't think this thing is going to take as long as everybody thought to get it back on track, if the coaching staff can do what it is that they've hired them to do.
Well, I think you're exactly right. And when the season ended, of course, it ended poorly, with the exit of Carson and just a lot of things that didn't go well. And I think everybody felt a little down and felt like this was going to be a 3-year process at least. I don't feel that way anymore. I think that Jalen Hurts is going to be a good young quarterback. I think they did a smart thing in bringing in the guy that he knows, relates to real well, the quarterback coach Johnson that they hired. I see this thing turning around quickly. Oh, and by the way, T.O. said that the Eagles would win the NFC East.
T.O. said, huh? Okay.
T.O. said the Eagles would win the NFC East. So they're going to win the NFC East.
Make it so. Make it so. All right. Listen, you guys are watching the Seth Joyner Show. My ex-teammate, Mike Quick, joins me today. And, I got a special guest for you guys. He wasn't in the promo, okay? I don't even know if Mike doesn't even know that he's joining us. But this guy, what can you say? Best wide receiver in the history of the Philadelphia Eagles. He'll be marching into Canton, Ohio in August. I knew I was surprised. You got it. Get him, Harold.
What's up, guys? How are you?
Oh, man.
Good. Couple of my two favorite players, man,
What up, man?
Hey, man, nothing much, man. He just, Seth has got me, what I was watching, Gunsmoke, so.
Yeah, I know.
And he told me you guys going to be on. I said, yeah, I'll join you for a minute and stuff. How's everybody?
Very nice.
Listen, this was just as much a surprise for Mike as it was, for my guests. I was watching a couple of weeks ago when Harold got his gold jacket, when they sent it to you, you open up the box, I was so happy for him. And when I made the connection to have you come on quick, and I was sitting here just going over some notes. I'm like, let me call Harold, see what he's doing, because I know he ain't going nowhere. He ain't doing nothing but sitting in the house.
He's home, sitting in the house.
Let me get him on. It'd be great to have the two of you guys on, talking about some Eagles, talking about, past times, and more importantly, talking about Harold going into the Hall in August.
Yeah, well, it's been an exciting year, and it's been a crazy year. We was expected to go in last year. The virus pandemic hit, and now I waited over 30 years, and now I had to wait another year for this to happen. But I'm still excited. I can't wait till August. We're still trying to put all this stuff together. So right now we're just trying to hang in there.
Hey, so Harold, can I be there? Can I come?
Well, we may give you a pass to get out of Jersey. Yeah, we might let you come in there. But exactly, man. It wouldn't. I wouldn't feel right if you weren't there. You're like part of family, man. So I would love to see all the guys I watch after getting out of the game. Such as Seth. I heard a lot of guys talking about being there, and it's going to be exciting. We're going to have fun, man. I love to have fun, and but everybody knows that I was the party. Well, I better not say that anymore. And I had a couple of parties before, but we always had fun.
So how do you handle all of this, Harold, with all the people that want to come? Because I've had at least 15 guys reach out to me, and there's so many guys I know that want to be there, like from before I came into the league, and a lot of the guys that played with you and I, in the early 80s. How do you handle all of this?
Well, I don't do it. Marie Solano Masha, she's my event coordinator. And, how I'll do. If they're calling me, I say, don't call me, call Marie, because she does have all the information. She's been great with this so far. I have, I know this, this whole week, that whole weekend is going to be fun because she's putting everything she has into this. She's always telling people this is the one time in her life to be able to be with somebody that you respect and somebody that played the game. I'm not trying to pat myself on the shoulder, guys, here, but tried to play the game right. But it's just something that I said some of these things that they're buying tickets for. It's very expensive to go to that induction ceremony.
Yes, I know.
And that whole weekend. So I'm telling a lot of my friends, look at the invites. I put names down, and I had a couple of guys I played with before. I played a couple of years with, like a guy like Harvey Armstrong. Harvey's taking care of all the current older guys that I played with, and Keith Creftley got the old guys. He has the list of those, so I just left everything up to those guys because I didn't want to get in the middle of this because it's a tough thing to do, man. And I just feel for Maria a lot of times because guys are calling her trying to figure out how to to get the tickets. I think you have you figured it out yet?
Have I?
Yeah.
Yeah, I figured it out.
Okay, good.
I already got Harold, I'm locked and loaded, man. I'm going to be, listen, if they'll let me on the front row, I'll be right there on the front row. The only thing, there's only one thing that could have happened better than me getting in, and that's you getting in. So I'm going to be there.
You know how I feel about this, and I mentioned this to Seth last year when he was congratulating me, and I said to him, you should be in the Hall of Fame also. The type of ball player that, I watched. I didn't watch every game, watching defense, but I did watch the defense, but also the offensive guy. You two guys, should be in the Hall of Fame, and they should start recognizing this now. Again, we played 2 years together, Mike, and I just told you a couple of days or a week ago about if you didn't hurt your knees and had the more raggedy knees that you have, you would have blown all of my records, and surpassed it and passed it waving at it because that's the type of ball player you were. And also, I understand we talked about this the other day, but you don't have to say anything. But I'm going to do my darndest with the both of you guys to try to promote you guys and help. I really shouldn't have to do this. They should do this on their own and put you guys into the Hall of Fame.
Harold, I'm just going to say this, okay? I got a chance to see it up close and personal because I played with him for 4 or 5 years, okay? And I tell people all the time, he don't like when I say it. It makes him uncomfortable. But the truth is the truth, okay? I watched the only player to give Darryl Green fits is that guy up in the top right corner. Okay. Right. And I used to tell people all the time, I used to watch in amazement. Everybody talks about Jerry Rice. Jerry Rice, he was a great wide receiver. You can't get around him. But he had great players and a great quarterback around him. And I used to tell people all the time, I said, if Mike Quick plays 14, 15 years healthily in the NFL, we don't even know who Jerry Rice is. That's my honest opinion. That's my opinion, man. That's my opinion. And people will say what they'll say, but I seen too much of it up face to face. I mean, Jerry was great, but Jerry was in a system that allowed him to be great. I watched Mike Quick do some things, with not much around him. And it was just phenomenal to sit back and watch, man.
I appreciate that.
And it was doing it with ease, and I always talk.
Harold, wait,
hold it.
You're going in the Hall of Fame. We're not talking about me. You're going into the Hall of Fame. We're talking about you.
But Seth, I told him that I had to work hard. I mean, I come into camp, fall on my face, the first few weeks. I mean, coaches say, did he make all pro? But I'm still falling. He don't even go to camp and start the first games and stuff like he went to every day in practice and stuff. He was so smooth. And speaking of that, I'm looking at the kid that they just drafted.
Devonta Smith.
Unbelievable. He reminds me so much of Mike Quick. So
Mm-hmm.
smooth. I mean, fast. Fluent. I mean, people talk about his little skinny legs, in which we saw him the other day. He's got some skinny legs. He's a skinny person. But I'm not going to look at that because I was so skinny when I came into this league, and they told me I was going to be, going to get beat up. But I don't think this guy's going to let people get near him to hit him. But I mean, he's so smooth, got great hands. I like this kid. I like the guys we had they drafted last year, but this guy, he's going to really show this city some good old time Mike Quick looking plays.
Harold, you know something? I never really thought about it because people have been asking me, who's Devonta Smith, remind you of. And now that you mention it, when I watch him run, he looked just like Mike running, like he running high hurdle.
Exactly. So
hey, you know who I said?
Knees up and stuff. And
yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
When
I tell you, Philadelphia's gonna love this kid. They love him now because he's number one draft choice plus a Heisman Trophy winner. So
yep.
And then now they're gonna see him play. This is gonna be. I can't really talk about too many other people because being in that wide receiver spot, I understand what it takes, the dedication, the concentration, to play the game, to play at wide receiver, to have the good hands. This guy has it all. And I can't wait to see him. We were there for the barbecue the other day, but I would miss practice, and I want to get out there when they let us come in and watch the practice and watch this guy, see how he prepare for a game.
Yeah, the guy. They talked about how small he is, and I actually was pleasantly pleased at his size because I was looking to see some little frail, skinny, but he's not that.
Yeah, he's not.
I'm glad you mentioned him because I love the way he plays the game. When I was asked about him, I thought about Anthony Carter.
Mm-hmm.
Remember Anthony Carter out of Michigan?
Minnesota Vikings, yeah.
Yeah. Anthony Carter, little skinny dude, but he was so smooth, could catch everything. And when I looked at tape of Devonta Smith, I remember watching how in traffic he would catch the ball, how he didn't flinch. And I watched him just get popped. I mean, popped hard and get right back up like nothing happened, go back to the huddle, come back out, catch the next ball. So to me, all the measurements that you have, they're great, but that kid has heart. And you cannot measure that thing that he brings to the game. That to me is the most important thing that you need to play that position. You need to have heart because there are going to be times when other men are going to try to take your manhood. And if you don't have that, you can't play the game. And I believe that's the thing that makes him and separates him from a lot of people.
Well, football is always created and started because with intimidation.
Yes.
And I don't think he's that type of ball player that's going to get intimidated. But they can intimidate you like they used to intimidate us, going across the middle and the clothesline, the forearms. So guys these days don't have to worry about that. So, I've always, in the recent years, I've seen they took intimidation out of the game. The physical type, guys will drop the ball at the first 5-yard first down. That's supposed to intimidate defensive backs and stuff. But, that stuff I would have ran through. But, you have to look at this guy's mentality too. Stood up there and talked to him for a while. Great guy. He stood there and seemed like, if he wasn't listening to me, he really fooled me because he was very attentive. I think you had an opportunity to talk to him too, Mike. So,
yep.
I'm quite sure you would agree. This guy's just not only has the football, I mean, he's just has the physical and the mental capability of making this big in the NFL.
Well, you listen to the Seth Joyner Show. I got Hall of Fame ex-Eagle wide receiver Mike Quick with me. I've got Hall of Fame ex-Eagle Howard Carmichael, and newly to be inducted into the football Pro Football Hall of Fame,
Hall of Fame.
Harold Carmichael, with me. And since we're on the subject of wide receivers, we might as well get into some of these wide receivers now. The Eagles have drafted their 12th wide receiver in the last 10 drafts or 11 drafts. We got 3 wide receivers coming back from last year: Jalen Reagor, Quez Watkins, and John Hightower. You add to that mix Greg Ward Jr., one Devonta Smith, one Jay Jaw.
Jay Jaw.
I think I just seen today that the Eagles they added on the undrafted free agent list Trevon Grimes out of Florida and Jamon Osborne, this 209-pound, 6'2" wide receiver out of Texas Tech. Competition is going to be fierce at the wide receiver position, with the exception of probably, the number 1 spot, which would be, the 10th overall pick this year and last year's first-round draft pick. They're going to give him every opportunity, to show and prove. When you look at the rest of these wide receivers and what they bring to the table, as this competition this summer winds out, what do you guys see in each one of these guys moving forward?
Mr. Carmichael?
No, go ahead. You go.
So, and you left out last year's sensation, Travis Fulgham.
Oh, yes.
So Seth, I just think that I think that they have a richness in that position because all of these kids are really good. I don't know if Ortega-Whiteside will ever be the pro that they were hoping that he would be. But when I look at John Hightower, Quez Watkins, Jalen Reagor, Greg Ward, Travis Fulgham, that's a lot of talent right there. And it's a lot of good Greg Ward. That's a lot of competition, a lot of really good talent. And they're not going to be able to keep all of these guys. I think Max still keeps 6 guys. Some of these guys will get picked up somewhere else, and they'll find some other talented guys that they'll have on the practice squad to work with. But I think they have a richness of receivers with the talent that they have, and so much now to work with to scare defenses, to give defensive coordinators a lot to think about every week, because you're able to match these guys up and create mismatches with these guys with all the talent that they bring to the field. John Hightower runs routes as well as anybody. I think when he matures a little bit, becomes a real man, I think he's going to be a real good football player if he's able to hang around that long. Quez Watkins does a lot of great things with the football in his hands. He's the guy that you want to get the ball into his hands around the line of scrimmage, the jet swings, the screen game, the quicks, all of that kind of stuff. Just can be a phenomenal player. These other 2 guys that were the first-round picks over the last 2, this year and last year, I can't wait to see them. We didn't really get to see Jalen Reagor show out this past year, because the offense was so bad. Jalen Reagor is a heck of a football player, and I can't wait to see him show out and show what he can do in the National Football League. We haven't seen it yet. I don't think he scratched the surface.
Before you go, H, I want to just ask this question to both of you guys. What does the effect of having Devonta Smith drafted number 10 overall the year after Jalen Reagor is drafted 21 overall? So all of a sudden he goes from being the preeminent number 1 to the definitive number 2 in 1 year's time. What kind of psychological effect does that have on a wide receiver?
Well, they got to both love this. They played together before, and to be able to get on the field together. And I'm quite sure they're starting to work out and trying to get that click and that connection, knowing when I'm going to break, where you're placing the ball. These guys, I'm excited about this. People are talking about what the Reagor did last year. We have to throw that out. We got to throw last year out as far as the receivers are concerned, because we really never. Well, let me back up. The reason for that is offensive line. We had how many combination of offensive linemen on a given Sunday that they have switched in and out. And that could be a problem for the quarterback trying to throw the ball. Wentz was throwing the ball, backing up all kinds of ways, trying to get these guys open. But, when you get to, they didn't have that sync. I saw that. I don't know when he's going to break, if you're breaking out or if you're going to stop it or what. This year, I think with the number ones last year and number two last year, you're going to see a lot of coordination. I think these guys are going to start playing. I'm quite sure after minicamp, they're going to continue to practice and put this thing together. I'm excited, man. These guys together, this is going to be fun. They know how to play together. They know each other.
What about the competition though in that wide receiver room with those guys?
Oh, that's going to be wild. But like I was telling them the other day, it's going to be who catch the ball. Who catch the ball? I don't care if you catch it on your helmet, like I've seen it happen, in your chest, in your hands. They're not going to say, well, a lot of times the coaches say, well, he caught it in his hand or he caught it in his body. But the bottom line is, did you catch the ball? Did you run the right route? And it all starts. It doesn't start on the football field. It goes. If you don't know your assignment, you can't get on the field for game or practice or game or walkthrough.
Quick, give me your take. What do you think that Devonta Smith now in the building being the new number one, what does that mean to Jalen Reagor?
It means that if I'm Jalen Reagor, I know that I got to step my game up. Every opportunity that I get, I got to show out and make sure that I'm recognized. I know he's a bad dude, and I'll have this will be my take. He's a bad dude. I don't have a problem with him being a bad dude, but you need to see what I bring. And I think that's what Jalen Reagor will do, and I think that's what he has to do. Every opportunity, if it's a punt return, if it's a block, if it's doesn't matter. Every chance that he gets to show his skills, right, he's got to show them. And you know what? It's going to make him sharper. Mm-hmm. Having that, when you're a real competitor, having that other guy over there just makes him sharper.
Yeah, that whole room will make you better because, I'm quite sure each one of those guys is going to kind of feed off of each other. Like I told him the other day, don't be counting numbers. Count how many passes you catch. That's going to be the big thing. What you do.
Well, listen.
Seth, you know what they used to tell me? Don't count your reps. Make your reps count.
Right.
So every time you get a rep, you got to make it count. You
exactly.
Can't count, I only got 6 opportunities today in practice. If you get 2, you got to make sure that they count.
Well, listen,
and that makes the quarterback want to throw the ball to you all the time, too.
Right. Right. Listen, the reason I ask is because not everybody's wired like that. Not everyone's wired like a Harold Carmichael, like a Mike Quick. Not all, wide receivers are wired the same when it comes to the psychological side of this situation. A lot of times a guy could be like, Jalen Reagor really could say, hey, you guys drafted me to be the number one. Now you turn around this year, you draft this guy. What's happening with me? I mean, you could take it the wrong way. I mean, I've seen it happen a multitude of times where a guy comes in and outshines another guy, and that guy.
Look what Mike Quick did to me. Look what Mike Quick did to me.
What? Help you get to the Hall of Fame?
Number one draft choice. I'm limping out of the league now.
Hey, Harold, you should give us a little bit of your speech. I know you're working on your speech already.
No.
Come on, give us a little bit.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure being there. Hey, God bless you. I'm gone. Give me my ring, my jacket, and the bus. Okay, we good.
That's your speech?
Yeah, that's it, man. They're gonna make sure you stay short. I told them, don't worry about me. I'm gonna be okay. I'm gonna yield my time to some other people.
See, now that's the one part of that whole thing I don't agree with. I mean, especially for a guy like Harold, Mike, that's had to wait this long to get in. Don't give me no 5 minutes.
Oh, no,
I'm
no,
gonna get up
no.
there. I want to get up there and talk as long as I want to talk.
Hey, Harold's gonna pull out a book when he get up there.
Hey, you look here. You know, it's gonna be a bunch of. It's about 12 people. You know, that's about. It's gonna be almost about a 4.5 hour deal. You know, so you know, it's a lot of people going in this year, and then you got 2020, which would be the following day, being inducted. But it's a lot of people, and they keep telling us they keep it short, y'all. Keep it short. And the older guys, the guys that's been in before, every time they see you, they say, keep your speech short. They'll tell you. They've been telling us that since the first time we all got together at one time. And you know, some guys came in. They said, make sure you keep your speech short, because you know it's
Don't
hot.
worry about it, Harold. Don't worry about it. The only thing they can do is cut the mic off.
Well, they done told you all this stuff going to happen. They get that big old stick and drag you out of there.
They get the hook on you, like that show. Like that show when they get the hook and pull you off the stage.
Out the Gong Show, or either Gong Show, boom,
The Gong Show.
Baby, you know.
I should know anytime I get the two of y'all on, man, whatever program I got in the works is going out the window. But I do want to talk about, you know, what's transpiring now with the league. I want to get you guys' opinions. I'm gonna throw this sheet away and go to this one and talk about the way that the off-season programs are being handled. Okay. Now we all realize that COVID is real, whether as a player you have to deal with it, whether you got a child that has to deal with it, a family member, so on and so forth. But what I see now is these players have, you know, learned how to use the power of, you know, the collective bargaining agreement to say, hey, you know, because of the COVID, we're not coming in for an off-season training.
Yeah.
I get it, you know, I understand it to a certain extent, but there's also a side of me that remembers when I was a young player and understanding how I wanted to get better and understanding how nothing was for certain, you know, for the first 2 or 3 years, and how important the off-season program was to me and my development as a player. If I'm a veteran in today's NFL and I know my defensive assignment or my offensive assignment, I know that my position is solidified and I'm a pro, I know how to take care of myself, I get that. Okay.
Yeah.
But when you got a whole new coaching staff coming in all 3 phases of the game, this scenario to me hurts the young players more than it does the older players. The older players are going to figure it out.
Sure.
The young guys are the ones that need to be in there every single day. And then, you know, I hear Nick Sirianni saying that he had a conversation with some of the veterans on the team, that he's taking into consideration, you know, Mike, can you imagine having that conversation with Buddy? He's taking it into consideration, you know, how they think that the offseason should go, you know, and you can't poo-poo these players, you know, their feelings and their realities about, you know, this whole COVID thing. But at the same time, you know, football is a 12-month-a-year job. You might only get paid for playing 16, 17 games now, but at the end of the day, that's your job 12 months a year.
Yep.
And I see these players not wanting to show up. I see Sirianni acquiescing. I see other coaches in the league acquiescing. Yep. Good or bad move? Smart? Not smart? I mean, you know, for the coaches, they're limited because it's voluntary workout. So the organization only has so much power to enforce guys being there. Then you see the 2 kids in Denver. One tears an ACL, another one tears an Achilles or another knee injury, I think. And now all of a sudden they let those guys go because you're not training in the facility. It's not a team ordained, you know, workout. Now this guy just lost, you know, $21 million. Smart or not smart when you consider, you know, where this thing is headed.
Well, you're on the line with this. You know, the young, as you said, the younger guys really need it. And being that you have a whole new coaching staff, everybody needs this because nobody knows the system right now. So this is a narrow little pathway that these guys are going to have to walk. Do I go in? Am I jeopardizing my job? Am I jeopardizing getting hurt outside of the organization or getting hurt on practice. It's a tight little squeeze that they're dealing with right now, and I wouldn't want to be in it because I think, as you said, my rookie year, especially my first year, I mean, I had a torn my knee, dislocated my thumb, and I was scared because I didn't know what I was going to do because I was trying to make the team. I was trying to take somebody's position, which I got an opportunity to play that year, but not after I did my knee, but when I did my thumb, that was the crazy part. But sitting there and on the sideline watching people play, it's not a fun thing to do. And this is your first year, yeah, I wouldn't want to be in this position.
So I think similar to what you said about Harold and I, everybody's just not made up the way, Seth, you were made up as a player because you wanted that off-season training. One of the reasons why you're a guy that should be considered for the Hall of Fame is because you knew what it took to get yourself ready. You knew how much information you needed. You knew how to train your body, get ready. And everybody's just not built that way. Some guys want to find a reason to not work or to not. And I understand the injury part, and the injury is a part of the game. And when your legs are gone in this game, you're gone. You don't play anymore. That's the nature of the beast. But there are too many guys, I think, that love the lifestyle, and they don't really love the game as much as they love the lifestyle. You love the game. You love going to practice, taping your ankles, getting ready for practice, the film study, learning what other teams were doing, breaking down people, understanding tendencies of people. You're a different breed than a lot of the young guys that you're seeing today. It's a lifestyle that's a great lifestyle. And when you're in it, you get to enjoy a lot of the benefits of it. And for some people, that's enough.
Well, it goes further than that. According to how far you want to go with this thing, in a way you set your goals. I want to be all pro. I want to go to the Pro Bowl. These are things you set, but like you say, some guys really say, if it happens, it happens. You have to make it happen, because you got to want to play this game. You want to make the sacrifices that you have to make. And the biggest thing is being consistent. A lot of guys can do this off and on and stuff. As they always say, you got practice players and you got game players. You got to be in between those both scenarios there and making sure that you got your head in the game to win, to be the best. Some guys, like I said, sitting there in the meeting rooms, a lot of times I wonder, after the meetings, do they go in the bathroom somewhere and practice their celebrations and stuff? I say, why don't you spend that time getting better? Years ago they told them to brand yourself, and guys, when they said that years ago, I said, oh no, this is going to open up a can of worms and stuff. These guys going to start doing all kinds of things, and it happened. They take so much time preparing for celebration dance that I think they're putting in and being the best that they could be.
Well, I mean, listen, I Mike, you're right. I mean, I loved every aspect of the preparation for the game.
Sure.
Because if I understood that if I prepared, that the game was easy. It almost seems like these kids nowadays, what they want to do is they just want to show up on Sunday and play, and they expect for everything to fall into place.
That's right.
That's not necessarily how it works. And what type of what is the culture that you're setting? Because you always hear that word. You talk about culture. What culture is being set in the world of professional football now in the NFL? When the message is being sent that it's okay not to do the work. Okay, you never just show up and things fall into play. When you see a guy make a play on Sunday, it's because he's done the requisite work the rest of the week to get to a place on Sunday where if it's defensively, if I made an interception, you know why I made it? Because I recognized that route. I knew that, on the plus 30, with 3 wide receivers in the game, in this particular formation, that this is what they like to do. and I knew that route was coming, so I could anticipate and put myself in position.
That one-hander, that one-hander that you took back the other way.
Well, that was he kind of he kind of caught me off guard. I thought he was going to pick me up in blitz pickup, and when he decided to swing, I was like, "Oh my God, he's about to score a touchdown if I don't catch this ball." I mean, and I just happened to be in a position to catch it. But that's not film study. But I'm just saying, pre-snap, the same way a quarterback looks at a defense and says, "Oh, they're in man or in their zone. Oh, here they come." Slide of protection. They know from a defensive perspective. I can look at your tendencies and look at what you do and study what you do and be ready.
Right.
Sometimes when I watch these players play today, they don't look like they're ready. Now, the great ones, when you watch the great players, you watch Aaron Donald, when you watch Jalen Ramsey, when you watch great wide receivers, whoever they may be, or great quarterbacks, they look like they know what's going on before it even happens. That's not by accident. And that's why I brought this up, because these young guys, if they don't learn how to be pros from day one, okay, how are they going to learn down the road? See, I learned how to be a pro from day one. Buddy said, "Hey, the off-season program starts February 28th. You're either going to be a football player or a student. Take your pick." So I knew where I was going to be on February 1. Some of these guys, it's like, "Hey, I play the season. I'll see you in July." No, it don't work that way. It does not work that way, because it's not just the training, the offseason, getting your body prepared. It's about, okay, let's look at the film and understand what I did great last year, what I didn't do so great last year. How do I work on my weaknesses without just purely working on my strengths? And now you throw into the mix a brand new defense, a brand new offense, and a brand new special team scheme. And you're telling me that a lot of these guys don't want to show up? I'm not just talking about the Eagles. I'm talking about across the entire NFL.
Yeah, but don't let just a few apples spoil it, though. I think by and large, most guys are about their craft, about their profession. But you do have a few of these guys who, like I said, they like the lifestyle more than they like the grind. And I'm one who loved the grind. And if you don't like the grind, then you're not going to be a Harold Carmichael. You're not going to be a guy who's preparing now for that hour-long speech up in front of the whole country to talk about talk about all the people that helped him to get to the Hall of Fame.
Don't blink. Don't blink. And you know me, I'm sitting there trying to be tough. I'm probably going to cry for about 5 minutes.
Oh, you're going to cry. I know you're going to cry.
No, I'm going to be tough. I'll be tough, that stuff, the things I got from Dick Vermeil, I learned a lot from Dick, and crying was one of them.
Crying was one of them.
I hope the coach is not watching this and stuff.
I hope he does watch it.
Yeah, I'm quite sure he would, listening to, talking to you guys, hearing about you guys and stuff. But yeah, man, this, the whole deal about this not showing up in camp, or it's a scary thing, You damn if you do, damn if you don't. Yeah.
Well, gentlemen, I think we're gonna wrap right there, man. Mike, yes, I appreciate you, man. Last minute. And
listen, these are two men right here that I don't mind saying I love you, brother. Yeah. Love you, Seth. Love you, Harold. My guys. And it's always a pleasure to spend time with you guys. If it's in person or this way, hey, man, I feel very blessed to have you guys as good friends of mine.
But you know how I feel about you guys. Seth just called me and asked me to do this, and I just did your golf tournament. Even though I didn't really, play last year, it was just too cold. You got to stop having that cold weather. But,
yes, sir.
But I enjoy, being, talking to you guys, man. You're like family to me. Best of friends, and also, the things that you guys said earlier about me going into the Hall of Fame, that's ditto, and it's go back to you guys. This is what I feel for you guys, and hey, thank you very much, Seth, for thinking about me and having me giving me this opportunity to say hello again to everybody.
Hey, listen, man, it's really, y'all are my brothers, man. You know, I got one blood brother, but y'all are my brothers. There's no doubt about it. You know, Quick knows how I feel about him. You know, I'm the same way. Hey, listen, the older you get as men, the more sentimental and the more emotional you become.
No,
so then you start talking about. Say it again.
You say you're a mean man. I always
no, I'm not. And listen,
back I ever seen.
I've never been mean. I had a job to do,
right.
and those that got in the way of the job that I had to do had to pay the price.
Now you described it in a different way, but coming right back to the same thing.
But to my point, you know, the older we get, you know, the more sentimental we get, man. And you know, you realize, you know, that life's clock is ticking, and you need to like tell people you love them all the time because people are leaving here in droves, man. So I want both of y'all to know that I love you. How I want to bring you on and honor you, man, because you deserve it. And who better to do it with, you know, than your good friend Mike? You guys played together. And listen, I want to thank my viewers. It's been an awesome show. You guys heard it before because you've been on the show before, but I'll say it again. Our time is our most valuable commodity. And you guys just spent the last 65 minutes with me here. And believe me, I appreciate it, man. I really appreciate
you, brother.
Thank you.
All right,
appreciate you, man.
All right. That's the show for today, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be back here next week. Make sure you tune in. I got some special guests coming up. I'll start doing promotions weeks out. But that'll do it for this week's Seth Joyner Show. I will see you guys back here next week. Same place, same times. As always, take care of each other and be good to each other. But most importantly, make sure that you love each other. Peace. See you next week.